Hello everyone, and welcome to TwstNotes, where I summarize the latest story update in JP. So 7.5 has dropped after the very unhelpful teaser text the devs dropped a few days ago, so we finally know, what that meant. So let's talk about 7.5, and yes, we'll be covering all of it since it's just this one update, I'm pretty sure. So buckle in, because we have a lot to talk about. We open at Styx. This doesn't take place after Chapter 7, but rather it's during Chapter 7, like Lion King 1.5 or something, I don't know. It's before Malleus and Lilia have returned to school. Idia, Lilia, and Malleus are all chatting. Idia informs them that if they want to, they can return to Night Raven College once they're done with treatment. Malleus is surprised, asking if he really means him and Lilia, or just Lilia. Idia tells him that the overwhelming majority of the island voted to have him come back. Malleus seems a bit unsure of returning, and Idia sympathizes, saying he didn't want to go back to school after his overblot. He wonders if the other house wardens and Jamil felt the same after their overblots, but notes that he gets where Malleus is coming from. Also, apparently he has pictures of Malleus sobbing, like, "So do I, bitch, you're not special." Malleus and Lilia aren't just at Styx for treatment, but also for rehabilitation. So it turns out that the whole revival thing, really messed with Lilia's magic. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it's hard to explain, so just bear with me. So thumbprints are totally unique, right? No two people have the same thumbprint, even though everyone has a thumbprint. Magic has something very similar. All mages have something what's called a magic circuit, and I'm gonna be real, I have no fucking idea what it is. My understanding, it's basically the ability to use magic, and that / magical output are unique like thumbprints. You can put power into it, like what Malleus did with Vil, but once the power injection is done, the magic output / magic becomes that person's. So even though Malleus shared power with Vil, that magic is now Vil's. But Lilia's magic output is now identical to Malleus's. They're confused on how that's even possible, and Styx doesn't even know. They're guessing something happened when the horn fragment and the ring's power mixed, and it basically, overwrote Lilia's magic circuit and completely changed it. Idia says they haven't found a precedent for this yet and want to run some tests with the two since, this is very rare. Lilia also wonders, what power was in that ring? And you know what? I have to agree. This whole thing is just really weird. The ring is very weird. I feel like we still don't have, solid answers on that. They do a VR simulation and Malleus is asked to make it snow. He does, but his head starts hurting and he starts losing control of his magic. Lilia rushes in to help Malleus's magic stabilize before, they stop. Idia then asks Malleus to try and channel magic through Lilia, or with Lilia, and although he's uncertain about it, he tries. Idia tells him to get rid of the snow, and Malleus is able to get rid of the snow, granted he holds Lilia's hand. He's also no longer in pain trying to use magic. After testing, Malleus and Lilia talk. Lilia is basically Malleus's magical stabilizer now, although they're he's Malleus's horn now, which objectively kind of funny. Lilia comments that until Malleus can control magic on his own again, he's not done watching over him. Malleus apologizes and says he'll talk to his grandmother about letting Lilia go do whatever he wants. Lilia is kind of confused. Militia did ask Lilia to stick around, but Lilia chose to stay in Briar Valley and everything because he wanted to see Malleus get crowned and also grow up. He wanted to see Silver grow up, and he wanted to see Sebek join the Guard. He stayed because he loved them all. We learned that Lilia's move to the Land of Red Dragons wasn't because he wanted to get away from his sons and Sebek, but he wanted to try and find help there without depending on Silver. He didn't realize he was going to lose his magic that fast. Peapod talks about his war days and how if someone wasn't able to fight, the dignified thing to do would be to, draw back. Malleus is Diva, that was hundreds of years ago, and Lilia agrees it was the wrong choice. Malleus is still pretty irritated with Lilia for not consulting him and says he won't be a great king if he can't help his friends and to talk to him next time. Lilia is shocked at being referred to by a friend, furthering annoying Malleus, but he's not your friend, he's your dad. Boogie woogie woogie. Anyway, Lilia was doing what he thought was best. He didn't want to depend on Silver when he was weak. He didn't want to tell Malleus the truth about him hatching because it would bring up a lot of really hard things to talk about. And he didn't want to tell anyone Silver's actual origin story because he wasn't sure how people would react. And Malleus does admit he has mixed feelings on Silver's sperm donor dad and lesbian bait number 4 mom. Both of them start planning the party as a reward, presenting thingy-merbobber for Silver and Sebek to make it extra special. They're oh, well, we, should give them these things we want to, but, let's make it special. And so that's the whole party thing. Malleus decides at this point that he does want to go back to NRC because, 1, he wants to learn more from humans and kind of learn from that and, become a better person because of what he's learned from humans. And 2, He wants to let his grandmother's anger die down, and even though returning to school would be awkward, it's better than his grandmother's lightning. We cut over to NRC. Kate is finishing a little checkup, courtesy of Styx. They're providing medical care to the students and Islanders just to make sure everyone's okay after the incident and, like, blot levels are okie dokies. Kate leaves the infirmary and runs into Riddle and Trey. They've just come back from a meeting with the head mage where they went over the Dia fam returning to school, the inter-school magic tournament. I did not write this down, but they also mentioned the Arcane Academy magic competition. It is like 8 or 9 kanji in a row. It made me want to cry when I saw it, but that's what that is. So like most schools, they have like a whole bunch of stuff happening like in June. So that was just kind of what the meeting was about. Kate almost runs into a Cowron, and it's revealed that Styx is kind of patrolling campus in addition to, doing the care stuff. And they're also helping Briar Valley peeps clear out and repair Diasomnia since the residual power from Malleus's horn fragment is, like, making it inhospitable. In addition to the, it's ruins now. Like, that dorm is just, like, gone. The guys come across the freshmen fucking around in the courtyard. They're all having Ace take their unique mahos, and he's kind of failing at it, I'm gonna be real here. But he's trying, and that's the most important part. Until Riddle intervenes and tells them to knock it off. They're defending themselves, saying they're just training, and Riddle is like, yeah, I know, but this isn't the place to do it. So they move to the Rose Maze and Heart's Lobule. We learn more about people's signature spells. Jax isn't just transforming into a wolf, but it's calling upon his ancestors' form. We also learned that when Ace tried to snatch it, he turned all furry, and it took forever to wear off. Next thing you know, Asher's gonna be pulling up with the mic asking Ace how he found his UM, and does his family know he's a furry? The juniors encourage Ace to practice more and talk about how they had to practice their unique mahos to get good at it. The group, including Riddle, clown on Ace when they realize the reason he was able to steal off of their head so easily is because he's constantly getting collared, so he knows that magic really well. The juniors leave and we get more UM and like regular magic lore. Jack honed his unique maho because it was his grandpa's on his mom's side. Like, he had the whole Unleash the Beast thing. He thought it was really, really cool, and he kept trying to replicate it and eventually got good at it, and So yeah, fun fact, that's where his unique maho comes in. It's not necessarily like, oh god, how did they phrase this? It's not technically just transformation magic, but it's more like tapping into genetics and having that come out? I don't know, they were using vocabulary I am not familiar with, and I was like, I'm gonna be real, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's like more of a genetics bringing out thingy than like, I'm just gonna go wolf now. You know what I mean? I mean, like it is, I'm gonna go wolf now, but you guys get what I mean. You guys get what I mean. He, Apple, and Ace all started manifesting magic around 9 to 10 years old, which apparently, quote, isn't that early. Deuce was around 12 or 13, and he figured out he had magic after he used it to pick up a baseball bat to beat someone with. Truly my boy. Although plastic pipes were more of my weapon of choice, my twin had this friend, and he was saying this really sexist stuff about how women belonged in the kitchen or something like that. It was, like, grossly sexist. So I grabbed a thin plastic pipe my uncle had lying around for, like, outdoor irrigation. We were, like, in the backyard. And I hit that bitch on the back as hard as I could, and I'd do it again. Not just because, like, he treated my twin like garbage, but also because he kept harassing me and my friends on the cheer squad. You would think he'd know not to fuck with me when I beat his ass as a 7-year-old, but I digress. Sebek, on the other hand, was a late bloomer, and his magic manifested at 14. They asked Grim about his magic, and he says he doesn't know how old he is because he didn't bother counting. Never change, King. He says he used fire magic in the past to make trees drop nuts and, like, food and stuff, and everyone assumes that he's just had magic since birth. The freshmen wonder what kind of unique maho he'd have, and tease him about having one that makes you get bigger when he eats. We don't like that. We don't like that at all. You, depending on dialogue options, says they wish they could use magic, or maybe it's best if they just watch everyone else have fun with magic. But the others point out that Ordo, you, and Grim are all kind of like a unique maho, because you got a humanoid robot, a person from another world, and Grim. Those aren't normal things. Later that night, Grim sneaks out of Ramshackle and goes to Diasomnia to go eat Malleus's block crystal. The next day, probably, most likely, okay, I'm gonna say this right now, I didn't put this in my script, but like, I'm gonna say this now. The timeline of events for 7.5 is really wonky. When I'm talking about dates of like, oh, this is happening then, the only thing that I am really like certain of is the whole like Styx and Lilia thing. And that's it. Like, this other stuff is just kind of approximations. So yeah, like they don't say like, oh, a few days later, that sort of thing. So, just heads up, the timeline post the stick stuff and the stuff we're getting into right now, it's kind of unclear. It's kind of unclear of when things are happening, so just as a heads up. Anyways, so, Kaleem runs into Jamil in the hallway and asks for help with paperwork since he forgot the deadline was tomorrow. Jamil agrees to, but is speaking, like, hella formally to Kaleem, which he doesn't like. He asks Jamil to speak informally to him since he gave him permission to do that when they were kids. Jamil is like, is that an order? And Kaleem is like, I'm not gonna order you around, that's mean. They go back and forth until finally Kaleem, very reluctantly and defeatedly, orders Jamil to do it. Jamil is like, sure, okay, I'll treat you as a friend. And when Kaleem asks Jamil to do the paperwork, Jamil tells him no. Jamil points out that not wanting to order, like, someone who works for you to do it, but, like, expecting your friend to do it is kind of, like, a shitty sort of thing. And Kaleem agrees and says he'll do the work himself and reflect on this and, you know, that sort of thing. Jamil does agree to look over the paperwork once it's done since he is the vice. Kaleem says there'll be no need since it'll be perfect. The whole dream thing has lit a fire under Kaleem. The dream and, like, Jamil showing Kaleem how easy it'd be to take stuff from him just a moment ago, I kind of cut that because, yeah. But Jamil also kind of did a thing of, like, God, I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was like, hey, can I have your, like, bracelet? And Kaleem was like, oh, but this is my mom's bracelet, but, like, okay. And Jamil was like, you really just gave me this? Like, girl. So anyway, Jamil did a whole thing, and Kaleem is like, oh, I need to make sure that, like, I need to learn to be better at business and just in general, and I need to stop being so naive and stuff. And he's wanting to change, and I'm very proud of him for that. Anyway, he leaves, and Jamil tells Azul to stop eavesdropping. They talk, and Azul comments he didn't think Jamil was the kind of guy to want power and money. Jamil says he didn't think that either, but he loved his life in his dream and supposes it's only natural to want it again. Azul asks if he's gonna try and take over the Azim family, and Jamil is like, wouldn't you like to know, weather boy? We also learn Azul is super embarrassed about his dream, which, yeah, I would be too. Jamil says we all want to be popular, and, who's we? Kaleem goes to look for Riddle regarding the paperwork and, like, needing some advice with it, and runs into Jade, Floyd, and Ruggie. Riddle's gone off to help Professor Train with something, so they're all waiting in a classroom for them to return. Ruggie's trying to turn in Savannah Claus papers for the Arcane Academy competition stuff that's happening in June that I mentioned before. Floyd is trying to return a library book he stole from Riddle, and Jade's there because, why not? He can be there if he wants as a treat. Azul shows up and trips over Silver's feet. Yeah, Silver's in there fast asleep. They wake him up and Silver slept through lunch in his afternoon classes, so oof. Although his name hasn't been leaked, apparently someone blabbed and now the world knows there's a long-lost Prince of Bladeville on Sage's Island, and the Islanders and school faculty have been blocking media from getting to Silver, which he's very grateful for. God, though, I bet those girls who were fawning over him at the horse competition are probably freaking out that they were right when they called him Prince, like, I bet you they're making, like, twisted wonder, like, twist talks, if you will. And they're all like, it has to be him, right? And then people are dragging them like, oh my god, this is such a weird post to make. Can you be normal for 5 seconds? Anyway, Riddle comes back and immediately collars Floyd for stealing his book. Floyd had written Riddle a note like, oh hey, like, I'll give this back in a bit. So, like, Riddle knew. He does remove it, though, when Floyd explains he wanted to work on his homework immediately. And the reason that's, like, why he took it, and he didn't want to wait for Riddle to return the book, which I guess Riddle told him he was going to return it on a certain day, and Riddle was just like, you know what, okay, like, I'll take it off this one time because you did want to get your work done immediately, and I can respect that. So, he does take it off. We learn about the event they're submitting paperwork for, the Arcane Academy Magic Competition. The really long name with many kanji that it'll haunt me. It haunts me. So basically that whole thing, it's like a competition between different schools, and there's 4 events total. 3 rotate out, but there's always a spell drive match. Dorms have to fill in paperwork to pick representatives for the team. Ruggie was one of the people selected last year, but never got to play Magift and swears he'll take revenge for how the interdorm tournament went. I mean, Diva, that was a hell of you and your dorm mates is making, but okay. At lunchtime of the next day, I'm assuming, but I'm gonna be real, I have no idea. Grim and you were late. They were making leaping macarons in alchemy class, kind of like how you make ice cream in science classes, and Grim screwed it up by adding way too much, like, what is it, clear violet powder, or like some kind of violet powder, and it made the concoction explode, and everyone in the classroom got, like, coated in glitter. I mean, it's not actually glitter, but it's like a glittery substance. Cruel made them clean the lab in punishment. Everyone is still kind of glittery, though. The chef ghosts are sympathetic and tell the two it happens every single year and not to let it get them down. But they do reiterate that if you add too much spice or seasoning to a dish, it becomes inedible. This applies to life, really. They go to sit with the whole freshman squad, and Ace and Deuce are still glittery from the explosion. Like, it got everywhere. We hear from the others about how too much of something can be bad. I wonder what this is foreshadowing. Vil and Rook join the freshmen and talk about how busy they are. They're still having to worry about their internships. Rook has already applied to an archaeology research facility in the Shaftlands, but Vil is still trying to decide between 3 different film production companies. I don't remember if they covered this early in chapter 7, so I'm just gonna say it here, because again, I don't remember. So they have like 3 terms that they can do for internships, and you can switch between like companies and internships in those 3 terms. Or you could stay with the same one. So Vil was thinking of like, oh, well, maybe I should switch every single term. So that way it's like, you know, experiencing all 3. But then he's like, well, filmmaking's a really long process. Like, I don't know if I want to just kind of go in and out. Like, I kind of want to like commit to one. But that is something that you can do. Like, you can switch your internship. Ruggie and Leona also decide to join the gang for lunch along with Kate and Trey. They continue talking about internships. Jack and Epple are shocked that Leona is interning at an energy company and would have thought he'd do something related to Magift. Leona says he wasn't planning on playing past high school. We learn that the Sunset Savannah does have a pro spell drive team, but, it's not very good. It exists, though. He muses that the country could be chosen to hold the World Cup that happens every 4 years, but they need to figure out a way to sustain the new facilities after the tournament's done. Trey's going to the Scalding Sands to intern with a company that specializes in fruit harvesting and cultivation, which Leona comments is one of the best facilities or like places to learn about that sort of thing in the world. So Trey's planning to do that, but he says like if he gets the like required credits for graduation in the first 2 terms, then he wants to go on to a seasoning development company for the 3rd one and like try to make a safe low-calorie sugar replacement thingy. We are then jump scared 3 goddamn times by the Round Hearts Lobule characters because this game wants me to relapse, apparently. Kate is going to the Queen of Roses to intern with an interior design company, and he wants to get into architecture, even though that means going to school again and he hates studying. But like the others, his dream inspired him since he realized a lot of people have different dreams and aesthetics and wants to help them make their own perfect, quote, castles. The group sees Idia in the flesh. He's forced to go to the cafeteria because Sam refused to sell him the jelly, like, sort of thing he always eats because he's not getting enough nutrients that way. He says it's like a nutritionally balanced, like, jelly snacky treat or something, and apparently, like, and Sam was like, no, like, you have to go have actual food, Idia, like, this is getting ridiculous. So yeah, apparently Sam can and has cut people off if they buy too much of one thing. So anyway, Idia is having a bad time because he has to be in public, and Ordo, like, makes Idia sit with them, and he leaves to go grab Idia lunch. Lilia and Malia shows up, which makes Sebek demand Epple and Jack leave because they're running. It's a constant, like, rotation of people because they're running out of room at their table. The whole freshman squad decides to head out early since you and Grim need to go get ready for PE. Ace and Deuce already left earlier, and they're like, yeah, we should probably go get ready. Yu wishes they had a clothes-changing spell, and Idia teases them all about, like, not being able to change their clothing with magic yet, even after, you know, having to do the dreamy magical makeover, which, God, that is such a good localization choice. I love that choice so much. I mean, Dreamform change is cute, but dreamy magical makeover? Peak. It is just peak. Malleus muses he's not used to trying to find a table, since most times people would just scurry at the sight of him. He notes he even got challenged to a fight after accidentally running into someone. Lilia tells him not to cause any problems, so if he gets into a fight, to be gentle with the other person. I love Lilia. He's such a chaotic dad. Leona's day is ruined because Malleus is there, and he takes a few shots at Malleus, asking what company would take him in. Malleus replies that he's already set to do an internship at Styx. Everyone is shocked because, you know, he's bad at technology, like we all know this. But Idia tells them that part of Styx that they're familiar with is just a small portion. There's departments that restore, archive, and, like, decipher old grimoires and other historical texts, and that's what Malleus is going to do since it's very, like, low-tech and stuff, and also stuff that he is shown to be good at doing in previous, like, vignettes and stuff. His dad actually, like, asked Malleus personally to do this, and I just know Mama Shroud is going to consider Malleus her new son. I just know she's rubbing her hands and diabolically plotting to acquire a new son. I know it. I feel it in my bones. Lilia is going to the Shaftlands and interning at an elementary school with the idea of getting a, like, teaching credential. He says this incident has made him realize it's important to nurture and educate the younger generation, and that's what he wants to spend his remaining years doing. We also learned that apparently there is only one school in Briar Valley, and he says that a lot of, like, his education was, like, just being told, like, oh, it's your intuition. And he's like, yeah, we need to be doing more. And also teaching people about Fae and learning about humans and, like, you know, that sort of thing. There's a lot of reasons for it, but yeah, he wants to be a teacher. They also all talk about the Arcane Academy magic competition, and apparently houseborns are required to participate. And how From Leona talks, it feels like they might just be able to choose like only one thing to do, since he says he's only going to do spell drive, but I'm not really sure. Like, I might have misunderstood what he was saying, but I think that might be the case where you don't have to do every single thing, but you can like pick one and then you're good. Which I guess, like, now that I think about it, would explain why Ruggy only... It sounded like Ruggy only did like spell drive, so I guess that kind of makes sense. But anyways, that's maybe a thing, question mark. They're all determined to win this year after losing for the past 99 years. We then get an extremely abrupt cut. Like, I thought I missed something until I went back, and no, it is just very abrupt. We're still in the cafeteria. I don't know if it's the same day or not, but it's Oreo, Grimm, and Odusu telling Sebek and Silver about their little, like, Mickey investigation and inviting them to join in. They agree and wonder why Silver, prior to the dream disaster, had met Mickey. Crowley interrupts, though, looking for Van Rouge. Silver immediately thinks he's talking about Lilia, but Crowley says no, he meant Silver. He asks Silver to come to his office and if he wants to bring his friends, since something good has arrived. They all go to the office where Malleus and Lilia are already there waiting for them. The school does provide one magical pen for free, but if they need another, it'll cost. And also, apparently, they're very expensive, which I guess I'm not really surprised about, but apparently they're expensive. Lilia's ordered a new magical pen for Silver with his full name engraved on the clip. Apparently, everyone has that, and that's like the student ID part of it or something. Like, they all just have their name engraved on the clip. I don't know, I did not realize that that was a thing. I just assumed that there was some kind of magical signature in it that, like, identified them as, like, a student. I didn't realize that there was, like, actual engraving on it. You know, now that I think about it, I kind of wonder if the back of, like, Grimm's Mage Stone has his name, like, his and Yu's name, like, engraved on it. Probably not, right? It probably doesn't. Man, that's kind of weird. Kind of screwed up, really. Anyways, so Silver gets a new pen, he gets his full name on it, and they also finalize the formal adoption paperwork, too. Sebek is jealous and wants his title, Lightning Knight, engraved on his. Grimm is just like, seriously? Sebek has been using his title liberally, and honestly, God, could you imagine being in the same class and he's like, I'm the Lightning Knight? I'd be like, oh, so he's just going full Toonie? Okay. Lilia says he's glad Sebek has friends now, and Sebek insists the others aren't his friends, and that he and Silver just heard out what the others had to say in order to help you with the whole, like, Mickey investigation. Crowley, Malleus, and Lilia are confused, so the others fill him in. Mal and Crowley both remember you mentioning things at different times. Crowley says he investigated the mirror but didn't find anything special about it. Do not like the idea of him just breaking into Yu's room, but okay. Lilia and Malleus point out that though it doesn't have to be like a magical tool or something, because Crowley's like, oh, it's not a magical tool, like it's just a regular mirror. And they're like, well, I mean, Lilia points out that like it could be cursed or enchanted in some way, or a ghost is possessing it or something. It doesn't have to be a magical tool to be able to do a thing. So they decide to go and check it out. The juniors don't detect any magic from it, but they're intrigued and want to help. Crowley says the freshmen aren't allowed to be doing experiments because it could be dangerous, allegedly. But Malleus offers to be the one in charge. He'll oversee things and also look into Styx's resources to see if anything like this has happened before. Lilia joins in as well, since Malleus isn't at full power yet. Crowley allows the experiments to continue now that Malleus has stepped up, and treats it like an extra credit sort of thing. Like, he says extracurricular, but I think he means extra credit, because Zeus is like, oh, so I can bomb, like, a test and I'll be fine. So I think he means extra credit, but I don't know, it's something. It is an extra thing. But anyway, Crowley stresses they need to be regularly writing reports, and then he leaves. The gang decides to get the whole team together to do, like, a meeting to rearrange the shifts. They plan on having a pajama party, and Yu mentions with all the sleepovers it's gonna get noisy. Grimm tells them not to worry, since he's the boss of the dorm, he'll make sure everyone gets their sleep. He tells Yu to do their best, and the update ends there. And yeah, I don't know if 7.5 is gonna get more updates or if that's it. Like, the little corner thingy, you know, like when you end a chapter and it's, you know, a little corner thing. It said to be continued, but it just, like, the game shows 7.5 is cleared, so I'm assuming the next story update will be chapter 8, but, like, I don't know. And, oh sweet Jesus, am I afraid of what's going to happen. They were going really heavy-handed with the foreshadowing, so, y'all, I'm scared. I am scared. Before I go, I'd like to give a quick thank you to my ladyfingers in waiting who support me and allow me to continue to do this. A giant thank you and telepathic snacky treat to Minchgal2189, Orion, Omimi, Visa, Annette, Kayla, Richter32, Crabjail, Yungumo, Ukaku, Lady Lunarine, Caesar, Goose Farms, Farfo, and Yosa the Kiseki. Thank you guys. I'm cure you all. And if you made it this far, thank you too. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and yeah, see you all for the next update whenever that happens.